Yeah, there's nothing
Love
worse than
that.
your kid seeing you not live out what you want in life, right? Our quote has always been, it's not our job to sacrifice our dreams for our children. It's our job to show our kids what a good life looks like. That is the
Yeah.
best thing we can do for them.
Welcome to Suburban Warrior, the podcast that will impact, inspire, and empower you to transform your mindset and become the badass warrior that you are. I'm your host and fellow warrior, Chrissy Pfeiffer, former clinician and corporate marketing exec turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, performance and life coach, and mom to 4 not-so-little warriors. Each week, I will bring you honest conversations with inspiring guests to share their stories of resilience, optimism, success, and simple yet effective strategies so that you transform your thoughts and change your behavior to get the results you want in your life. You will be empowered to take action, warrior up, and believe in you. Let's do this.
What's up, warriors? Welcome back to another episode of the Suburban Warrior Podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Pfeiffer, and I am back this week with another amazing suburban warrior here to share her story and expertise with us today. And I'm so excited to say that I'm having her back on the podcast because she joined us way back on episode 36. And when we talked about how to deal with overwhelm. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that today and just even more entrepreneurial mom business stuff. So let's get into it. So I'd like to introduce Dana Malstaff. She is the founder of Boss Mom and creator of Nurture to Convert. She is a mother, author, speaker, podcaster, and movement maker. She believes that too many brilliant moms are struggling to figure out how to grow their business while balancing all that is required to be a good mom, partner, and woman. Dana teaches nurture marketing to thousands of boss moms so they can authentically get visible and grow their business even with their inconsistent schedules. Well, if that is not something that I feel like is a daily challenge for me every single day, and I think about every day. So I'm so excited to have you on the podcast, or I should say back on the podcast. Thanks for being here, Dana.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yes, it is and I believe it's a struggle that moms in particular deal with more so than other people starting businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, we certainly have a lot more on our minds. We're balancing a lot more. We're multitasking. We're doing so much. And like I said, it truly is something just even for me as an entrepreneur thinking about, okay, where do I want to go next? How do I want to scale? Where do I want to scale? What do I want to do? And then there's that fear of like, wait, do I want to scale? Because then am I going to have time to be a mom? And, there's all these fear-based questions
Mhm.
and thoughts that we have in our heads. So I love that we're going to get into it all today. So, but first, give us a little bit of background about yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, okay. And it's so funny because I feel like it's been so long. Like I think about the beginning and it's been 10 years. Like when I quit my job, and by quit my job in air quotes mean I worked for a small company, the husband and wife that ran it divorced, and everybody that he had hired got let go. And I basically just proactively worked out a deal to like leave before that happened. So the joke of, like a lot of us started our businesses when we didn't have a job, right?
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
immediately got pregnant. Like everybody took me out. We had tequila shots, and 6 weeks later, I had been trying to get pregnant, and we had not been able to, probably because I was working 14-hour days. And so all of a sudden, I'm pregnant, and I have a business, and that was 10 years ago. Like it's insane to think of how long ago that was. But the feelings still feel very real. And I think when we talk about moms and that feeling of should I scale, should I do all these things, part of why it's so scary and so overwhelming to do business is that it is just more uncertainty, right? Like we all joke about like, I don't know how I'm going to screw my kids up, but I'm sure it's going to happen somewhere. I don't know if my marriage or my relationships are going to work. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be successful at the end of my life. Like, there's so much uncertainty in life, in parenting, in relationships that we're constantly trying to figure out. no wonder we like to just build Legos with our kids or veg out watching a show or doing so, or follow follow a recipe to make a dinner, follow a thing that has a certain ending. Like I know how this is going to end and I can tell I did it well. We seek those things out in our hobbies because we don't get it in the rest of our life. Well, when we start our business, we're just adding that in. I did not realize that starting my business, and I was filled with hope and excitement. And I didn't think, oh, I've got this brand new baby that I have no idea how to raise. And I have a husband that I have no idea how to be parents with, right? And make this work forever. Like I have no idea how to do all these things online, but I'm hopeful and I'm excited. And we get into it, and then we start to realize all of the emotions. And it's not just emotions that I felt that were, uncertainty. It was emotions of, do I have anything unique to say? Would anybody want to hear it from me? There's already a ton of people that are smarter than me that have been doing it longer, teaching these different things. Like, how can I put myself out there? Like, what if nobody ever wants to pay me? Right? What if I'm, what if nobody loves me? Like, what does that look like? And then for anybody who's worked and then moved into your own business, I know how much I'm monetarily worth in the workforce. And then all of a sudden I become mom and I have no idea what my monetary value is as a mom. And then when I start my business, I have this idea of what I'm worth, but I know I'm just getting started. So how do I live up to that? And then how do I sales and market for myself where I'm being dominant, even though as a mother, I want to be like in a feminine space of nurturing and loving. But in order to sell, I have to be dominant and have to you're asking an insane amount of self-awareness, of self-confidence, of self-love, of self-worthiness, as well as so many other things. Now, the funny part is that I think, and I found this of myself and a ton of the women that I work with, we're really good at multitasking. Like we're good at doing a million things. You need me to make dinner and listen to that podcast, and do that thing and figure out this thing. And in my mind, think of the 10 things that have to happen tomorrow. We are all over it. Women are built for that. Like we're really literally built to make sure nobody dies in the household.
Yeah, it's like literally what we do all day.
All the
time.
That's not where the overwhelm comes in. The overwhelm comes in is that the right thing to multitask? Is that the right thing to do? Am I wasting my time? Am I doing it wrong? Am I going to screw something up or ruin something that I can't fix or that someone won't love me for later? That's the thing. If we could just take out the uncertainty, doing a million things at once is our jam. Like moms can do it. When someone's like, hey, Dana, I was told I need to do with intention. I do one thing at a time. And I'm like, screw that, dude. I work out. Like I do my squats while I'm making coffee, while I'm helping my kid with homework. Like, I'm sorry, but that there are times to be intentional and do one thing at a time, to put everything down and be there with your child, to put everything down and give yourself space. Yes. But 80% of the time, we will never get anything done as moms if we pretend that you can only do one thing at a time. Like that's ridiculous. So what we have to do is we have to say, how do we create more certainty around the decisions we make so that we can feel good and confident about what we're doing? And then when we don't question the decision we've made, then we don't feel the guilt about it. And the guilt is where the overwhelm comes from, is my belief. Now, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not those things, but I have friends that are. It's like, what is that commercial? But I've stayed at a Holiday Inn before. So
yeah, exactly. I have friends that know how to.
Yeah. And I will say that there is a lot of confirmation that when we don't feel confident about the decisions we're making, we feel guilty about the potential outcome, right? That we've done something when we should have been doing something else. That it's almost like a emotional grieving of the loss of the result or the thing we could have had should we have made another decision. So we're constantly grieving a potential outcome that will never happen because of decisions we're making. So we vacillate between decisions all the time. And that's where the overwhelm comes in. And then that's when moms go, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. And then we just stop. We stop everything. And the worst thing to do when we are working to build a business is to stop playing, because the playing and the testing and the connecting is where the success happens. We got to find the 20% of what works in order to fan the flame of that 20% and be okay with the other 80% just being part of the process.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Totally. There was so much there to discuss. My mind is like racing, thinking about everything that you just said, because it's so true. Because, so for those that are listening, and maybe thinking about starting their own business, or have started their own business, but they're, small business and they're thinking, okay, what's next? What is the thing that, I mean, I think it's just the action, right? The little bit of action every single day to, like you said, to keep you moving forward. But like, do you have any advice or something that you can say to them specifically to sort of get through that hump of indecision, that hump of, can I really do this? Am I good enough? Am I, an expert enough? Because I do think it's amazing with social media and with what we have now versus 10 years ago, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you started your business 10 years ago. I started almost, 14 years ago now. Very different world. And it
Mhm.
was, with an online presence and the feeling of having to be like either out there and online or seeing what other people, there's so much comparison,
Yeah.
even more so than there used to be. So what is your advice to moms who are trying to build a business but are staying in this sort of space of, am I good enough? Can I do it? What should I do next?
Yes. Oh, so many things. Like three or four things. I will
Okay.
start with this. There isn't a single human being that you have seen online that isn't a hot mess somewhere in their life. Just flat out.
Exactly. Love it.
I remember being on a mastermind call with women that all have $1 million plus businesses, right? And so it was like a lunch, like a virtual luncheon that I got invited to. And our director of communications is what we call her. Like my right hand person was in an Airbnb with me for the weekend or for that week or something we did a quarterly thing before the pandemic. And she was listening into this mastermind of us talking about, and we kind of went around and said, this is what I'm doing. This what, and half of the women were like, this thing isn't working. I'm shutting this down. I'm pivoting. I'm totally, I don't want to do this anymore. Like this, there were all these things. And we got off and she just had this look on her face. I was like, what are you giving me that look? And she's like, I just had the biggest epiphany ever. And she was like, I get in a mastermind and I talk about $500 problems, but they're the same exact problems as your guys' $100,000 problems. She's like, but they're the same things. We're talking about, I'm not fulfilled. I want to pivot. I don't want to do this. Why isn't anybody buying this thing? This thing totally failed. What is happening over here? Like, she's like, you guys literally had just a more expensive conversation that I had last week with my mastermind. And I was like, yeah, they're all dealing with divorces and kids that are growing up that they don't know how to deal with figuring out whether they want to homeschool or do this thing or these trips that they're taking or this, that their business is getting away with their over relationship or they need the business to help with the relationship or whatever that is. It's like we're all just messed up humans. So if the question is whether you can, whether you're worthy, whether you're capable, the answer is yeah, of course, because we're all big balls of messes. And if every other ball of mess can make it happen, so can you. And so if you get past that, then the next question is, well, why? Why could they get there versus me? That's the next question everybody asks, right? Which is like, well, I see people that aren't as smart as me and they seem to be more successful, right? Like I see people who have been doing it less, time than me. Why are they doing it? And there's one answer I think that is the most helpful for us moms, right? And I will distill it down to this. They don't take it personally. Us moms have a intensely difficult time not allowing what happens in our business to settle into what it means about who we are and our identity. The people that are most successful don't look at their business as an extension of who they are and their worthiness. They look at it as a playground with which to find something that will work so that they can make money or make an impact or do whatever, right? It's not always just about growing financially.
Right.
We as moms are already so identity fragile, I'm putting in quotes, which is something I believe. I believe moms go through so many identity crises when we are a girl who becomes a woman who then has to decide who she is independently, but then has a partner and has to decide who she is as a family unit, as a partner, then becomes a mom and has to discover how is she a mom, but also somebody who is independent of that and what are their priorities there. Then when her kids start getting older and they don't need her as much, and then there's like 6 or 7 identity crises that women go through that men don't have to go through as many. I think men have their own thing. I'm just not one, so I don't know how to speak to that, but I certainly know how to speak to how.
And they certainly don't have as many as we do.
Yeah,
for sure.
well, because I think now I will say I do believe that men have crisis in the sense that women have such crisis, and men naturally in their state want to support and protect. And so it can be really scary to watch us go through the things that we go through and not know how to help. Like,
Yeah,
I've talked
I
to a
agree.
lot of men and fathers that are like, I don't know how to love you enough or tell you enough or do the things enough for you. I don't know how to step up enough
Right.
to help, because a lot of times we won't take help, because part of our identity is independence. Part of our identity is I can do everything. I can do it. And we have to start letting go of the idea that our business outcomes have anything to do with our identity. We have to start letting go of us needing to do to make everything okay in our for our kids and for our partners, and start creating a space where we allow things to step up, right? You allow things to unveil themselves to you, where we allow things to come and be alongside you. Like, our kids want to step up, our partners want to step up, our business wants to step up, and we are so controlling of wanting to make sure we create a good outcome that we stop having fun, we start taking it personally, and then we start getting overwhelmed. If we can start letting go of some of those things, which I realize is a very tall order for us moms, but if we started to let go of some of those things, we would all distill down what most of people who have gone through therapy, and I have a lot of therapy clients, right? And I have gone through a lot of different coaching and therapy, is that our worry as women, that if we are not useful, then we are not lovable. And I think that is the distilled down hardest part for women that makes it hard to be successful in your business, which is, if we are not useful, then we are not lovable, right? That I cannot be lovable simply for my existence and for who I am. I have to be giving in order to be lovable. It's like distilled in us so that we will walk barefoot through thorns to make sure our kids are safe, to get our kids to the other side. We are born nurturers. And with that feeling of, if I am not useful, then I am not lovable, or that worry, then in our business, we give away too much. We do too much. We promise too much, right? If someone breaks up with us or ghosts us from a business perspective, or, says anything, then all of a sudden I'm not useful. It's this terrible feeling. And so if we could literally break moms of this need to be useful, and instead recognize the amount of impact and love and connection and nurturing we can actually put out into the world without the necessity of constantly giving, but instead facilitating, leading, all of these things that women also naturally do if we get out of our own way, then we can start looking at that and go, oh my gosh, I can do so much more in a sustainable way. And everybody around me gets to rise up, which creates more purpose for those people, right? Which creates more excitement and love and connection for those people. It's a tall order, and that was a very long way to answer your question. But I feel like this is the thing. Like, if in the next decade we could do this for women, we could change the world.
No, listen, I completely agree. I mean, I was sitting here listening, thinking to myself, I mean, just even how much I have evolved from when I started in the corporate world back in the late 90s, and then till now, and just how my mindset has changed. But I think back to those times, even just not even when I was starting out as an entrepreneur, but even back in the corporate world, and how I wish I would have answered questions differently and, said things differently to my peers, and maybe stood a little firmer on my ground and felt more empowered. And I'm hoping that this generation of women that are coming up behind us have more of that leadership. And, you don't need to feel like you're constantly having to prove yourself or be useful to be loved. And because I do feel like that is slightly I think women have had that, but like a generational thing as well. I'm hoping that, to your point, in the next decade, women can feel more and more empowered to stand in their own truth and be okay with it, and do what they want to do because that is what they're passionate about, and respond to things because that's what they're passionate about, and move forward and build businesses and feel like they are confident and good enough. Because I do think the perspective has changed in the world around us, and I'm hoping it continues to change. But I think I agree with everything that you said. And I think it makes a ton of sense. I really do. So I feel like too, like, so everything that you've talked about, you sort of tie that all in to your business and to the Boss Mom community that you have built over the last 10 years. So for people that aren't familiar with that, tell us a little bit about what that is.
Yeah. So originally, my background is in marketing. My specialty now is in messaging, right? I'm a broadcast journalism major. I grew up with a family that writes. I love words. I love the way words can do things. And I basically invented what we call nurture to convert, which is a registered trademark system marketing, then a way of a nurture marketing that is actually timeless. It works amazing during hesitant times like we have now, but it's a timeless way of marketing that leverages the way humans work. So when I say nurture, I don't just mean being soft, being sweet. There's actually in the nurture to convert system, it's nurture marketing, results marketing, and conversion, right? Actually messaging. We'll say messaging because it's simpler. Those three things are necessary in order to actually move people into action. The nurture part is so much more about the psychology of how humans actually work, because I think that's one of the things that most people don't get when they're starting their business is they don't know. Like they go in and they're like, oh, well, I bought this course on how to DM people. Like, oh, I bought this course on like what to post on social media. And then they'll be like, I don't understand why it's not working. And it's like, that's because the person that built it doesn't actually understand how humans work. Like if you I intend to get a PhD in behavioral psychology at some point in my lifetime. I want them to gift me an MBA because I feel like I've already done all the work. So if somebody will gift me an MBA, then I will go get a PhD but because the way humans work has always fascinated me. I absolutely love it. In my corporate space, I did, facilitation and focus groups. And there's a lot of stuff I did with patient advocacy. And I've spoken to so many humans and now thousands of moms along this journey. When I became a mom, dude, my freaking world was shattered. Like I'm a strong, independent, driven, got all these dreams, got all these things I'm going to do, have an idea of who I am. And I had kids and it like shattered me in terms of who I was and what I was trying to accomplish. And I'll be perfectly honest, like I'm not a big kid person. I am not the person that babysat. I am not the person that like loves to be around a gaggle of children. I don't want to be at a playground. Like, I don't know why everybody has to yell. Like, what is the yelling for? Why so much? Like, just because we're having fun does not mean screaming and fun have to be mutually inclusive things.
God, I love it.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, I want children. I love my children. They're 8 and 10 now. And I love this age is like the best.
So fun.
Absolutely love it. But I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to be a terrible mom because I'm not a big kid person? And what does this look like? And I actually have big dreams. I want my child to take a nap when he was an infant so I could work on this thing. And I felt terrible that I was excited about something and I wasn't excited about my kid all the time. That's why I started Boss Mom. I started Boss Mom because I was like, this can't be true. Like, it cannot be that once I have a child, my life means nothing. And the only thing that matters is that child. Like, that cannot be what existence means. Like, how would we have any fruitfulness in our life if once I had children, I was making the decision to be a martyr and never get to do anything that was meaningful for me again, because the only thing that mattered was my child. And if that was happening, why the hell would I ever want to have a daughter? Why would I ever want to have a daughter whose life is only meant to live, feel like there's opportunity, have a child, and then get none of anything she ever wanted and only has to live for that child? Like, there's no love in that. That's just sacrifice. Like, and that can't be what love is. That can't be what family is about. And so I really started to think about what the heck is this guilt I'm feeling and why? Why can't I be dual? Why can't there be a duality? Like, there has to be a duality. There has to be more. And I would love my kids to think that I could be the example for them. And if I'm going to be the example, then the example can't be complete and utter martyrdom. It has to be being something bigger, being something that's meaningful to me. I started going down that rabbit hole, and I ended up just not being able to find a community where we were having these conversations, where we were connecting with each other in this way. And so I had a friend who, when I moved out to California, because this is to be closer to my family after I after I had my son. He was about 3 months old. And my husband at the time, I told him, I was like, I want to move out to San Diego to be closer to my parents. And we were in Columbus, Ohio, and it was like a negative 11 degrees. And he was like, I will put the house up for sale tomorrow. Like, this is not a hard sell. This is not a hard sell. Yeah. And so we came out here, and I had a friend who had become friends with somebody where we were in a little mastermind, and he, his name was Azul Toronis, and he was a book coach. So he's like, if anybody wants to write a book, like, I'll give you a sweet deal. And I was like, I want to write this marketing book. And when we sat down and did the brainstorming, uncomfortable brainstorming process, this is what I really wanted to talk about. Like this thing that happens when you become a mom. And we have women who should be inventing, should be creating, who should be inspiring and leading and doing all these things. And we don't half the time because we think that it somehow takes away from our love of being a mother by wanting more. And so I ended up writing Boss Mom. And from there, we were like, well, we're going to start a community. And then I was like, well, I'm going to start a podcast. And then I was like, I'm going to freaking boss mom the hell out of everything. And then we trademarked it. And then we were like, okay, let's go. And we've gone down the path. I will say over the last 5 years, we've gone down the path because I came up with Nurture to Convert system of being much more on the messaging side, which I have really awesome systems for marketing that are timeless, that work for moms and the way we think and the way we want to connect with people. But we are this year with rewriting the book, and we're coming out with the app and all these things. We are going back to the roots of what we're talking about now. Because if we can't get to this part where we can understand that our business is a mirror for where we feel we fall short and what for we are scared to claim for ourselves, and recognize that like proclamation of what we are worthy of and what we can achieve is actually better for our children than doing nothing. If we can't get to that spot, then we're just going to have a bunch of women starting businesses that become a negative confirmation that we are not enough. And that is something I will not stand by and let that happen.
I will not. Okay. So that sounds amazing. So the new book that's coming out is like a rewrite, updated version of Boss Mom, correct?
Yeah, we were going to just update it, and then went in, and I've spent the last 3 months just re-outlining it. It is a completely different book, a better version, like a 10 years in the future. It's going to be awesome. Like it's going to be. I'm really excited about it because I think I hope it is the go-to for every single mom that makes the true difference. Like it's not just tactical, although there are tactical things in there. There's how-tos and all that stuff. Right. But it's so much more about this realization and recognizing that all the things that we're feeling, we're not alone, that they are very normal, average feelings. And that part of the self-development is allowing the realization that those feelings are real and they are legitimate. And they should only empower us more to become what we know we can become for our children. Yeah. There's nothing worse than your kid seeing you, not live out what you want in life, right? Our quote has always been, it's not our job to sacrifice our dreams for our children. It's our job to show our kids what a good life looks like. That is the best thing we can do for them. And to show how we're resilient and how we deal with emotions and how we experience loss and grieving and how we experience excitement and joy and how we take, like with the app and the book, I'm a freaking emotional mess. I cried like 7 times this week because we just didn't make this big announcement. We're moving over. I made this like big investment. We're doing all these things. Yeah. And the kids are like, oh my gosh, Mom, are you okay? And I was like, dude, I'm doing something that's a big risk and it's got big rewards if we do it right. And I've got to be dedicated. And now is the time. I was like, I am fully experiencing joy and grief and excitement and sadness and worry and all those things. And all of those emotions are okay as long as I allow myself to experience them. The moment I only am allowing myself to push forward and not feel anything is when I lose the opportunity for real growth. And I was like, watch me cry, because these tears are going to make us like the impact that we want to make in the world and are going to grow things in the way I want to grow. Like these tears, this fear, like this is awesome. Like this is the time where we're going to shed. I've got a bearded dragon lizard. So it's like, we're going to shed, the skin and like grow. And you can't do that without all of the emotions. If you only pick one and you're pushing for the one, happiness or resilience, like those things won't get you there.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. Okay. So tell us then about the app that you're going to be launching soon?
Yeah. Okay. So I have always believed, and then I mean, we've had over 30,000 students go through our coursework and content, thousands of women we personally coached. We can pretty much validate for 100% that a majority of women that come through and have their businesses do not want to be the sales and marketing engine for their own business, right? They do not want to be the one that's online all the time. They don't want to be asking all the time. Like, being in sales takes a certain type of personality, and it's rare and it's hard. And so we've always,
and it's a whole different skill set a lot of times, right? Sales and marketing are completely different skill sets than, and what might be your expertise in starting the business, right?
Right. Well, and by the way, it doesn't even matter if you're amazing at that skill. Like, I've come from sales and marketing. I'm really good at it. And when my kids both have projects that are due and it's parent teacher conference week, right? And I'm on my period, and I'm trying to figure out summer school because we're doing summer school. You got to schedule them now and all those things. I don't have time to also go out and motivate people to, to sell and be on calls and do all those things. Yeah. It's there is and I think we can all agree our children have an uncanny knack of grabbing and needing us right when we're inspired to do something, and then a knack to be done with what they need us for the moment we're done being inspired. And so we constantly are like, I'm going to get so much done today. And then you're like, why am I only free on the times where I do not feel like doing anything?
Exactly. Totally.
Yeah. And so we've always wanted to be a space where it's like a boss mom marketplace, like a space where it's full of people that are trusting of each other and building a connection, where it's full of places where we can create opportunities to help you not have to go out into the wilderness and market and sell, a place for you to become more clear about who your person is, what you're doing, how you're doing it, how you're unique, all of those things. A place where you can get your shows and podcasts and things listened to and get featured and do all that kind of stuff. This space of collaboration, the space of connection, the space of growth. When we started the Boss Moms Facebook group, that was the space. And I'm still a big believer in Facebook groups. We are going to be shutting down a 75,000 person group to move over to this app. And a lot of people won't come with us, and that's totally okay. But I still believe deeply in Facebook groups because Facebook facilitates getting you visible, right? Once you have a brand that is my size and has my, 10 years of clout, I can afford for the risk of taking it into my own space and then having to be the true marketing arm. So this is when I'm telling everybody that we're shutting this huge group down, I have people who are like, oh my God, should I leave Facebook? I'm like, no, go grow there until you have the resources and the space to move into something different. But what we found is the group, and then the things we're trying to build, it just didn't allow us to create the kind of space, collaborative space that we want. And we can't control all the people coming in. And there's just, the bigger you get as a community, the more outside spam, people with bad intentions. And Big Mama Bear over here, is like, don't mess with my people. I get
yeah, that's a lot to police and control. It's a whole, yeah.
Well, and what it does is, this is what I've tried to teach my kids, right? Is I try to tell them that rules are not really meant for rule followers. Rules are meant to try and control rule breakers. But the problem is those people were going to break the rules anyway. So the only people that get screwed by rules are the people that were going to follow those rules. They play by the rules and then they get screwed. So the people in our community that don't get to showcase their stuff, don't get as the collaborations, because we've had to make all these rules so that the people who break the rules, we can have some way to manage that. Moving it over into an app is going to be, it's a Boss Mom app. It is you will download this beautiful, we even have updated colors that are, I'm just so excited about it. You're going to have the Boss Mom app, you're going to get it and you're going to open up, and it's through a tool called Circle. And we've paid to completely brand it for us and do all these really cool things. So it's going to have a space that feels a lot like a Facebook, right? It's like a conversation, posts and things like that. But then we're going to have other spaces. So instead of us doing a post that says, hey, what's your podcast? Our active members will be able to go in, and it's only $7.99 a month. It's not a big ask, but it is a tiny bit of commitment to know that we're getting really committed people in. We didn't want to make it free because we want to create it to be like this really amazing space. And basically you're going to come in so our members could go, hey, you're an active member. There's a space where you get to have a beautiful card that says that's podcasts, right? It says it has your podcast. It's got a couple episodes they could go listen to. It's saying whether you're taking guests or not and who you're looking for. They can comment below and leave reviews for your podcast right there about how much they love it that you can go use in social media. We're going to have all those things. We're going to have a place where people will be able to say they want to get hired. They're trying to get business. We're going to have a space where you can be reviewed by Boss Mom and be Boss Mom approved in terms of the content you put out. A place where you'll be able to say, here's my opt-in. So when you go and you say, I need a resource for Pinterest, you're going to go into our community and know that the 4 or 5 or whatever people who have Pinterest opt-ins, that you'll know that they have been we've vetted, that we've been looked through these things, and that there's the good content that's there. Like, we want to become the space that is the safe, connected, trusted space that moms go, I'm going there first. I'm not going to go anywhere else. I'm not going to listen to that ad. I'm not going to do that thing. Like, I'm going to go here to make my decisions, to find the resources that are amazing. And we're going to all hire each other, work with each other. And some of that happens in the Boss Moms Facebook group community now, but it is on a tiny fractional thing where everybody's still working really, really hard. We are about to blow up because in the future, this is not going to happen now with the app, but in like the years to come, we want to have a true marketplace where people could come in and house their content through us. So they don't have to go find a Sam Carter, find a Karcher, find a whatever. They come over to us. They can house their content through us. We are the one that helps do the marketing and all the sales. And then we basically just get a cut of their sales so that we could take out all of the tech crap that people hate doing. They could take out all of the worry of trying to figure out how to create funnels and send people. And we could create a space that actually allows people to sell through a Boss Mom marketplace. Like, that is my 5-year vision. And I'm excited. I'm excited for this space because then moms could actually enjoy their businesses.
Yeah. Oh my God. I think that sounds absolutely amazing. Not only can moms enjoy their businesses, but it's such a resource to find other like-minded women, entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. It's like it's networking, it's sales and marketing, mm-hmm. it's empowering, it's community, it's everything. I mean, all in one place, which really just sounds incredible. I think it's very much visionary and sounds like, I mean, I am part of the Boss Moms Facebook group. And so I know exactly what you're talking about, being on there and seeing what other women are doing or hearing what other women are doing. And it is a great resource if you're, looking, for someone looking to hire somebody or looking mm-hmm. for someone that has, experience that you're looking for. It's an amazing community that you have built. But I'm so excited for you and so happy that you're evolving it in this way and, moving it towards an app, getting it off of social because, to your point, now it's off of social media. And I think all of a sudden it's a separate space, than just being on Facebook. And I'm sure there's something there that like where if God forbid something happens to Facebook, what happens to your 75,000 person group?
Well, we've lost reach anyway. The ability for me to be seen in my own group has diminished. The ability for me to be helpful and really connect has diminished. But ultimately, I just can't build the things I want to build. Because to mention for the job op, right? We are going to have a space in phase 2, right? Because I basically want to build the world. So it's like, I've got to do it in phases.
Build it, baby, build it.
Phase 2 is where you'd be able to go in. And if say you want, we've got a VA or someone who does, services or design or whatever it is, they will be able to pay an extra $10 a month and be part of the opportunity membership. And they'll be able to come in, do a video of themselves, say what they offer. And then you'll be able to come. So when you want to help fill a job, you'd be able to go in and do a quick search of who can do those things based off keywords. And without having to do a post and get, spammed by 100 people trying that you have no idea how to vet, it becomes very overwhelming. You literally can pop up and see 5 people. You can see a video of them. You can see what their stuff is. And then you can make decisions about who you want to reach out to and do those things so that we make the hiring process easier. We make the getting hired process easier. We do all these things that we are thinking going to make a big difference. And then we're going to have the ability for people who want to get hired to come in and pay a fee to say, I want you to review my content, review my offers, review my pricing, review my things, and then give me the stamp of approval that says I do a good job, that I am legit, that I am a person that should be trusted, right? There's the disclaimer of humans are humans. So we can't always say that like Life won't happen. We've had people where like someone gets pregnant or someone, whatever, right? But we want to be able to say, like, stop. We want to take away the guilt, the uncertainty of how women are making decisions. We want to create as much opportunity as we can for you to feel really good about the choices you're making, really good about the things you're spending money on, really good about the people you're surrounding yourself with, and wake up in the morning and go, holy crap, like the world is better for me being in it, and everything I'm learning and self-developing as a mom in business. Have you ever noticed, like you and me both, and everybody else who's been in business for a long time, we eat healthier. We have better sustainable relationships. We're more emotionally regulated. Our kids are more emotionally regulated, right? We demand more of ourselves. And I love the saying, I've just started to say this, which is like, I want to love myself so much that I can't wait to get better. I don't want to try to get better so that I'll love myself. Like those are two distinct differences. And I want us to be able to live in a world where we wake up and we go, I can't wait to get even freaking better, and my relationships and my connections and my life to get, and who I impact to get even better. Not because I need to in order to be worthy, but because I am so worthy that I can't help myself.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I love that so much. And I do, because we're only here for a short time, right? So we might as well love ourselves in that time, and also always continue to grow and learn and want to be better, not only for ourselves, but for our kids and our family and our friends. It's just like constant evolution and constant growth, which is, I think, so important for all of us in each of our lives. So, well, I want to thank you so much for sharing all that you shared today. I can see how passionate you are about what you do. I wish, I can see it. I can hear it in your voice. And that is really the most amazing thing, because as women, if we're doing what we are meant to be doing and sharing our gifts and talents with the world and doing it in a passionate and purposeful way, then we're shining our light bright. And that is exactly what you're doing. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you for sharing everything you shared today. Thank you for the amazing Boss Mom community, because it is fantastic. And I'm so excited to see the next iteration of, what this is going to look like. And I'm very excited for your book. So thank you for being on today. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, make sure you check out the Boss Mom group. But what is the best place for them to find you now that the Facebook group's going to be going away and the app's going to be launched? Tell my listeners best place to find you.
Yeah, if you just go to boss-mom.com, that will get you to the app, that will get you to the getting into our community, that'll get you to all the places of the free resources, the podcast, our YouTube channel, like all of those things. So wherever you want to be, you can come in, and our app will have a free trial, so you could come in and see it for yourself. We think it's gonna be big. I'm willing it into existence, and we just posted this morning about it, and everybody's excited. Everybody wants to be involved.
Sure.
And because our goal is to make everybody's life easier. Our goal is like, we get it. We get how hard it is. Like, we get it. Like, yes. Believe me, more than anybody could ever understand, we get it.
You get it. You get it personally. And like you said, you've been doing this for 10 years and working with mom entrepreneurs for the last 10 years. You get it. You get it probably just as better than anyone else. So thank you for sharing. Guys, make sure you check out bossmoms.com. And I will be back next week with another amazing suburban warrior here to share her story with you. And in the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram at Suburban Warrior, or TikTok and YouTube. And we will be back next week. Thanks so much.